So let's talk about capitalism. Let's talk about capitalism. We have different economical systems in the world. No matter how much I study what you say, you'll take shots at Obama, then you'll take shots at Bush, then you'll take shots at Nixon, then you'll take shots at Carter, then you'll take shots at Trump. So it's not like you are blindly, no matter what, only defending anybody that is on one side. You're not that. That's not you. You're not a such and such person, such a perfect leader. He can never make a mistake. You don't come from there. That gives you a lot of credibility as a reader to say, I'm actually interested to see what he's thinking about it here. But if we look at economical systems, we got capitalism, we got socialism, we got communism, and then, a couple other things. Marxism would be pretty much the same as socialism, communism, a part of it. What do you think about, like when you think about capitalism, out of all the systems that we've had and the results that capitalism has created, what are your thoughts on capitalism?
Well, first of all, I have a different conception of the various options in the world. You see many different kinds. I see one. Every society that's functioning has some variety of state capitalism, some elements of capitalism constrained by state power. That's true of the United States, it's true of Britain, it was true of Russia under the so-called communists, that's true of China. We can look at the different variants of state capitalism that exist. I think they all have some advantages, many defects. Now, as far as my discussing Biden, Obama, Bush, and so on, there are two kinds of, we have a finite amount of time and energy. We can decide how to use it. One way to use it is to march in parades, praising the magnificence of our leaders and countries, along with a great mass of other people. Pretty useless activity, in my opinion. The other possibility is to see what's wrong with existing societies and work to try to change them. Okay. My feeling is that's where attention and energy should be devoted. So every one of those figures that you mentioned did a lot of things that I think were very wrong, very harmful to others and ourselves. And I think not just them, but the people around them, the social forces that within which they were functioning and so on. So I think the sensible thing to do is look at those and try to improve and change them. If that gives an impression of being negative, yes, it's true. I think we should be negative about things that ought to be changed. If you want to applaud, join the multitudes in the parades and praise what's nice, fine, that's okay. It's not a very worthwhile. You want to do it on July 4th, okay, but not devoting your life to it.
So we should emphasize on the wrong work that you do. You're saying, so as a reader, you've written 150 books. So rather than looking at ideas you have in your book that make sense, I, as the reader, should look at the things that's wrong about you, not the things you write that's right about you. So that's kind of what
Correct.
You're suggesting.
If you have some special interest in me, say you're my mother, then you should be interested in the things that I do that I shouldn't be doing. Okay. If you care about me,
but if not, I got to constantly be looking.
So if you care about the U.S., if you care about U.S. society, if you don't care about U.S. society, just go march in a parade. If you do care about U.S. society, you'll take a look at what you think ought to be changed and improved.
So what you're saying is, if I'm constantly looking at things that are wrong instead of things that are right, I should, that to me means less celebration, more being critical. So I should spend more time protesting than attending parades.
Not just protesting, trying to change. If you care about the society at all, you'll be concerned with trying to change the things that are wrong, that hamper its development, that hurt the people in it, and that are harming other people in the world. You'll be committed to changing those if you care about the society. If you don't care about the society at all, you can march in parades.
Yeah, but I mean, I get that. Okay, fine. Let's continue with that. So capitalism. What is in your opinion, what is wrong with capitalism? Where do you see the flaws and challenges in capitalism, and what will be a better alternative than capitalism?
Well, first of all, since there is no capitalism, almost everything we have is an alternative to it, everything, in fact. If there were capitalism, it would probably self-destruct within no time. That's why the business world, pretty much in charge, has always invariably called upon state power to protect them from the ravages of the market and to subsidize them and to carry them through to the next stage, to develop the next stage of the economy, and so on. Why? Let's be quite concrete. We're now using computers, the internet, satellites, microelectronics, so on. Where'd all that come from? Mostly from public investment. You got a vaccination.
Mostly from public investment? You mean the government? So most of the innovation we've had in America came from the government, not from the people?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
Of course. I mean, I was at MIT in the 50s and the 60s when most of this was being developed. It was being developed on public funds.
So that could be an opinion. That could not be necessarily a fact. That's another thing that could be an opinion, because you and I are on a computer right now invented by this guy named Steve Wozniak.
Well, take a look at computers. They were developed for the risky, creative, hard work was done for decades, either in research universities.
Yeah, but they almost used the entire city's electricity. They had to have massive towers to have a computer, because yes, in order to allow the entrepreneur to
lots of electricity, which is coming from public funding, overwhelmingly. So yes, if you look back at it at all, most of it, just the creative, hard, general work is just done through public engagement. Now you take a look at computers again. In 1977, after about 30 years of development of computers, mostly in the public sector, Steve Jobs was able to make a personal computer that you could sell in the market, Apple computer, the one I'm using. And then the marketing, the development, and so on was mostly transferred to the private sector. Now, it's more complex than this. So IBM, for example, after learning how to switch from punch cards to modern computers, they learned that mostly in labs like the one I was working in at MIT, but they did advance to that point. Then they were able to develop their own computer in the early 60s, stretch computer, fastest one around. And nobody could buy it. It was way too expensive. So it went to the public sector. It was bought by Los Alamos. And then it was able to develop further. And so it continued. Same with the internet, which was being developed right where it was, in fact, in the late 50s, early 60s. Public funding. After about 30 years, 1995 or so, it was essentially handed over to private power, largely privatized. That's the way a lot of the economy develops. Goes way back to the early 19th century. 19th century, the main development in the country was railroads. That was the huge economic development. They were much too complicated and extensive for private capital to deal with them. So it was handed over to the Army Corps of Engineers. The mass production, it's called the American way of manufacturing, which astonished the world, late 19th century. Quality control, replaceable parts, Taylorism in industry, all of this, which made things much more efficient. It was mostly developed in government armories, then handed over, picked up and used by private capital. Now, I'm drawing the lines too sharply. You look at the whole thing, complicated story, there's all kinds of interaction. But this is a large part of economic history, all the way through. That's why we always have state capitalism, along with protection of the masters from market ravages. They don't want to face them. The reason we have huge financial institutions is because the government insures them and allows
I don't
them.
disagree with that. That's the part with crony capitalism. I'm not with that. When the
But
big banks got bailed out and they got the checks in '08 by Barack Obama or Bush or folks back in the day when Reagan bailed out, I'm not the one that's sitting here saying, let's bail some of these companies out. Because in my opinion, Professor, I don't think monopoly exists without the help of the government. I don't think a monopoly exists.
Quite the opposite. As soon as you start deregulating, it moves towards monopolization. We've seen it. That's the result. That's the result of handing things over to the market.
That's the result of politicians being for sale because their campaigns, they need money to raise campaigns so I can go buy them because they're for sale and they help me create a monopoly because I got a couple people in my pocket. That's been going on for a while. There's a reason why a lot of these bigger companies start off in different cities as headquarters. As they get bigger, they put an office right in DC because I got to go control some of the regulation and laws to not allow the other smaller guy to compete with me long term.
You're looking at footnotes. The main thing is that when you begin to deregulate and hand things over to the market, there's a tendency, strong tendency, to move towards monopolization. As the bigger fish eat the littler fish, have more power, can underprice.
We're not off page here because I've been on calls before where the FTC, we were doing business with this one company. All of a sudden I get a call from FTC. They want to have a call with us. Great. So we want your entire team to be on the call. Okay. What's this call about?
To go back to capitalism, that's why the owners and managers of the world, those who Adam Smith called the masters of the universe, the owners of concentrated capital, that's why they have always called on the state to rescue them from disaster. So going back to the original point, all over the world, we have one or another variety of state capitalism.
But why do politicians fall for that though?
What?
Why do politicians fall for that? Politicians can say, we're not bailing you out. Why do they bail them out? The politician doesn't have to say, yes, we'll bail you out. No, we're going to let the market decide how you do. Why would they bail them out?
Sorry, why would they want?
So you're saying these masters of the universe that Adam Smith talks about, they almost always go to the public to bail them out. But the public has the right to say, no, we're not going to bail you out. Why do they keep saying yes?
Because they have very few choices.
No,
if you're an individual,
right,
and you say, I don't like the monopoly of the Comcast and
right.
2 or 3, what are you going to do about it?
Well, no, I'm going to, the public is to sit here and say, but to sit here and say everything is the private's fault and everything good that ever happened was because of the public and the government, not the private, that's extremely naive to say that because you're then painting the picture of the public and all the responsibility that they have to reject these ideas by these.
On the contrary,
everybody's for sale. All the politicians are for sale.
It's the opposite. I'm the one who's saying the public can do a lot. That's what I've been saying all along. I'm writing about. You asked me who I respect. It's the people on the ground who are doing things because they have the options.
So if you like this little short clip from an interview I did, click over here to watch the entire interview. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.